What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick before questions, we need to send a shout out and a thank you to Jeffrey Hale and Sean Kelly, who both joined our Patreon at the Jedi Master level this past week. Thank you so much to both of you. Your support of the channel means the world to us.
We're combining our first two questions again because Tyler Shepard asks which choice we think Grogu will make, and Brendan Velasquez wants to know if he could take both the armor and the lightsaber.
Yeah, so that's how the last chapter ends, is which way are you going to go? The way of the Mandalore or the way of the Jedi? I don't really think that he can. I mean, he could, in theory, choose both. I don't see Luke letting that happen.
Yeah, well, we joked about him sneakily choosing both, and then, Din comes and picks him up, and they get out of there before Luke realizes, but that I don't think that's going to happen.
His first words will be like, "Go, Dad, run, I took them both, let's get out of here."
Yeah.
I took the lightsaber. I mean, the whole thing of the choice is to introduce this drama of what will he choose, and if he walks away with both, it just seems to completely undercut that. I think him making the decision to go one way or the other is more impactful. I'm hoping for him to choose the armor.
Same. I think he's got to go back to Din in Mandalorian Season 3. He's got his own seat in the N1 Starfighter just waiting for him, the little backseat bubble. He's going to pick the chainmail and go with Din.
Honestly, the little bubble seat is maybe my biggest reasoning for being like, he's going to choose the armor, because you're not going to make that and not put Grogu in it. I mean, it's possible that Din could just come visit on occasion and fly him around, but that seems like a no-no. That Ahsoka was like, I mean, you can see him, but it's just gonna hurt his progress as a Jedi if that's what he's choosing. So
yeah,
I really did like all of the choice stuff, and Ahsoka honoring Luke's choice to train Grogu, and now Luke honoring the fact that Grogu should have a choice and that he shouldn't force training upon this child. Mm-hmm. That he's like, I don't know if his heart's in it, so I'm going to present that to him. And I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but we really just got like this training montage, and now Grogu is able to control the Force better. He can defend himself. He can run and jump. Like that they did all that in an episode. I kind of thought Grogu would just be gone for all of season 3 of The Mandalorian, but I think this series could end with Din picking him back up, or Mando season 3 could begin with that.
Yeah, and I think in the long run, Grogu is going to take lessons from both sides. He's going to take lessons that he learned with Luke from the Jedi, and he's going to take lessons that he's learning from Din and the Mandalorians, and he's going to find that balance and use the best of both worlds.
So in that sense, he will choose both. I think you're right. That it goes along with this idea that, you know, maybe the Jedi are too strict in their, especially the way that we've seen the prequel Jedi handle attachment, and the idea that it's like no attachment at all. And it's like, no, attachment is okay, but just don't let it go so far into possessiveness and control. And if you just can't let it go too far. And it seems like Luke is kind of going down that same route, where as long as you're balanced, attachment is fine. And this also plays into the themes like Boba Fett is taking lessons from who he was as a bounty hunter, but also taking a lot from who he was as a Tusken Raider. Mm-hmm. And finding a balance and forging your own path with the lessons that you were given in the past.
R2 is the Chosen One asks if Luke will help Boba Fett in the fight against the Pykes.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so either. I don't think Luke is interested at all in going back to Tatooine and getting involved in this other whole war that's happening over there.
Like, I kind of see the appeal of him going and, protecting his hometown, but I think he's got bigger fish to fry. Especially, we still don't know exactly what Boba Fett's motivations are here. Like, if he's going to come back and help Boba Fett become a crime lord.
Yeah. I don't
that seems a little odd.
Happening. Plus, that would be too similar to the finale to Mandalorian Season 2.
Exactly.
If Luke were to show up and just, take everybody out.
Yeah.
That'd be too similar.
That's my biggest thing, is that it would be a repeat of season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's like, oh, everyone's in trouble, but don't worry. Like, Luke's going to come in and save the day. Like, we can't do that over and over. Because I do think it'll happen again as we build these stories into whatever climactic event is happening, that Luke's probably going to be involved. I think that's likely at this point. So
yeah,
we can't have him coming in and kicking ass every single time. Also, there's a big difference between taking down a bunch of dark troopers, a bunch of droids, and coming in and, like, cutting Pykes in half.
Yeah. Joshua M. wants to know if the Disney Plus series will continue following several characters instead of just one.
I think so, at least in this Favreau, Filoni, Mandoverse, whatever we're calling that. I think it's looking like we're going to keep on having characters weave in and out. Mm-hmm. So Ahsoka might have an appearance from The Mandalorian in it or something like that. And Luke might pop back into The Mandalorian or Boba Fett. And I think that as we keep expanding, these shows will continue to cross over.
Yeah, we have a lot of, like, single name shows coming up with Obi-Wan and Andor and Ahsoka, but there's going to be a lot of other characters that they'll focus on, a lot of crisscrossing of characters.
Right. Well, I think, like, Obi-Wan is probably going to be 6 episodes really focused on Obi-Wan. Andor, you know, that's going to have other characters, but I think it'll be pretty focused on Cassian, at least for the first season. It might expand like a lot of Star Wars shows tend to do in later seasons, but we're really setting a precedent for the Mandoverse and how it's working. It is very similar to the Clone Wars, mm-hmm. where you kind of have these arcs of things that happen where it's like, we just had a bit of a Boba Fett arc and then a little Mando arc, and it's going back to Boba Fett. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to look at it from that perspective, that the Mandoverse is very similar to the Clone Wars.
Yeah, we joked on our stream last night that at the end of all of this, you could probably go back and make a list like they did with the Clone Wars episodes, like a chronological watch list. You could make a list of, like, all the different episodes of different shows to watch in order in the end.
Or
so
you
that
can,
you would see all the crossovers happen.
Like, some people will make lists of, like, here's all the episodes you need to watch for Ahsoka's story.
Yeah.
And here's everything about Maul's story. So now there will be lists of, like, here's everything you need for Boba Fett, and here's what you need for Din, and so on.
Ooh, this is a tough one. Leftist Hominid asks who we would pick to be confirmed alive if we could only pick one, Cobb Vanth or Max Rebo.
I chose that question and forgot about it. And then when you said this was a tough one, I was like, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, it is tough. But not really. I didn't deliberate very long. I would choose Cobb Vanth.
I mean, Max Rebo could become the marshal of that town if he wanted to.
Yeah, okay. Well, he doesn't have arms.
He doesn't need arms.
He's going to just walk around. Feet. He wields a blaster with his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I love Max Rebo. He is one of the characters who, like, I just collect all of their merch. If I see anything new Max Rebo, I'm like, yep, I want that. I've always loved him. But Cobb Vanth means more to me. He is an actual character. Max Rebo is a bit of a joke. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, a joke that I love, but he's in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very glad that I don't think we have to make this decision. I think they are both alive.
Yeah.
I think they knew that if we're going to blow the sanctuary up, we better not put Max in there. Like, let's make sure that you can see the band. We'll show that Max isn't performing that night.
Yeah, they were focused on the drummer and, like, the Bith performers. I think my tinfoil hat theory is that Boba Fett has hired Max Rebo. He's really impressed with his work, and he hired him, and he now performs at the palace.
Right. Yeah, get him back into the palace. Max knows the acoustics very well. He's ready to perform again. We joked in our live stream about how the series will end with another kind of Ewok-style victory celebration, but it'll just be Max. The Max Rebo band is back together, and we're performing, and everyone's dancing around and having a good time.
But I'm going with Max.
You're going to go with Max?
Yeah. He's, in my heart, he's the more beloved character that definitely has seniority And like the town.
It's one of those like last in, first out kind of things. Like Cobb Vanth is new to the universe, so he's first in line to die.
Yeah, I mean, Cobb Vanth is doing a great job at being the marshal of Freetown. But, you know, if he's not there, I think over time, the townspeople themselves know how to take care of each other. That's kind of the lesson that he is teaching them.
Sure. If he winds up dead, it is a huge story moment. Like, I will be sad, but it's great. Like, it's genius to introduce Cad Bane in that way and to just have it be an emotional gut punch. But I love Cad Bane not just as a character. Timothy Oliphant's portrayal is perfect, but also what he means.
Cobb Vanth.
Yeah, Cobb Vanth. What Cobb Vanth means as like a Star Wars book reader, and just that this minor character can make the jump to live action and become so beloved. That's more what he means to me and why I think I would choose him.
On to YouTube questions. Matthew Kelly asks if we'll see an episode all about Luke in Season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Kind of wouldn't surprise me at this point.
I hope not. I'm gonna say for now I don't think so. I think they've done a pretty good job at connecting the dots as far as like, here's what Luke's up to, and yes, he's teaching Grogu right now, but he's also building his school, and, you know, he's going to start teaching other young people, and so, yeah, I don't know.
I feel the same way. I hope not. Like, I think that's always going to be my reaction, even though when it happens so far, I feel like it's been done well. I've been happy with how Luke has been handled in these series, but I'm always going to be a little bit wary of just like, I don't want to use the original characters as a crutch too much. I think he would fit a lot better in the Ahsoka series, where the Mandalorian just feels like it's occasionally dealing with stuff that Luke's dealing with, but Ahsoka is an old friend of the family. Like, I would really love to see them interact more so than more of Luke and Din. And, you know, if Grogu goes back to Din, then I think Luke will be like, all right, little one, like, it was fun, but he's got other things to do now.
Literal Table 22 wants to know if Sabine could teach Din to use the Darksaber.
Yeah, this one popping up from last week's discussion on whether or not Luke would teach Din to use the Darksaber, and that didn't come to pass. But I think we said last week that Sabine would be a better fit.
Yeah, I love this theory. I think it would be a perfect, you know, full circle moment for her character after we saw her being taught by Kanan how to use the Darksaber in Rebels, and then for her to come along maybe in Season 3 at some point and teach Din about it. That would be amazing.
Right, and we have rumors that Sabine will be in the Ahsoka series, so clearly there's an in for that crossover to happen. But yeah, just as a Mandalorian who was trained by a Jedi to wield the Darksaber, I think that makes so much more sense, would be so much more personal, because whenever we talk about training, especially with the Darksaber here, like, and with the Force in general, like, most training in Star Wars is about teaching an actual lesson and not about doing Force push-ups or learning how to fight with a sword. Like, Din needs to learn to accept the responsibility that he's been given. That's why it's heavy to him. That's what Sabine needs to help him get past. And I think that lesson coming from a Mandalorian would mean a lot more than if it came from Luke.
Yeah, he knows how to wield a melee weapon. He just is struggling mentally and emotionally with the metaphorical burden of the Darksaber. Daniel Raffles asks if the Armorer and the Children of the Watch will become antagonists to Din in The Mandalorian.
It's certainly possible, especially, you know, Paz Vizsla didn't seem too happy about Din, telling him to, like, get out of here, apostate. But the Armorer let him leave in peace. She let him take the Darksaber away. If you were going to be upset about it, like, that was the moment. You know he can't wield the thing. Hit him with your hammer and take it. I kind of think that the Armorer sees something in Din. I feel so weird about her because, like, she is a cult leader. The Children of the Watch and Death Watch, they were like violent extremists, but she does have wisdom. Like when she talks to Din, she says some things that I'm like, yeah, like she is teaching him lessons. So I do think for now that she sees something in Din and wants him to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I think there's definitely still a possibility of her and the Children of the Watch becoming antagonists. And there was a line by Paz Vizsla about how it was just the three of them there. So there's a chance that she could be waiting until they meet back up with more of their kind, more of the Children of the Watch. And then she would have an advantage over Din, and maybe then with, you know, it reminds me of Marchion Ro getting, you know, the Nile to really rally behind him. If she had enough people to rally behind her, she could easily take the Darksaber.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad point at all, where if she beats Din in front of just Paz Vizsla, it's not as impactful if she gets a bunch of Mandalorians and then takes the Darksaber from him.
Yeah.
So there is that, but right now I'm not really getting any evil vibes off of her, but it's hard to read. It's hard to read her. She's very, you know, she's got a helmet on.
Yeah. Cameron Carroll wants to know if Luke forcing Grogu to make a decision for or against attachment is out of character considering his own attachments to Vader, Leia, and Han.
We talked about this a bit on our live stream as well, and I think that it's him reverting back to old ways, the old ways of the Jedi, because he doesn't really know any better, you know? He's trying to start the Jedi Order again on his own. Ahsoka's there. We don't know if Obi-Wan or Yoda or Anakin are popping in to give him advice, but it seems like he's just, you know, collected Jedi history and he's like, I'll do what they did before. As far as he knows, they were all just murdered and it wasn't that they lost their way or anything. So I think he's just trying his best and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he could think that he was a special case because he didn't get to make these decisions when he was much younger, but this kind of goes along with the stories that we've been seeing with Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. They have this big loss and then they just go back to what they know. Mm-hmm. Mando goes back to bounty hunting, Boba goes back to trying to, you know, be a crime lord or be a bad guy, kind of. It's still
unclear.
Good guy,
still vague,
but still a crime lord.
A better bad guy, a better version of a bad guy.
Yeah, he goes back to wanting to be Boba Fett in the armor. Luke, you know, he has that line with Ahsoka about Grogu. I just don't know if his heart is in it. I feel like he's kind of projecting a little bit on Grogu. I feel like he could be saying that about himself too. And he's still very unsure about becoming a teacher to teach the Jedi way to other people. But yeah, he's reverting to a more strict version of the Jedi way.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. And also to talk about, his attachments to his father. I mean, his attachment to Darth Vader saved Anakin. And yeah, I think that his attachments to Han and Leia were also good. He didn't go so far into that, like, I have to control and possess them. But we're also seeing right now, like, where are they? And we've read in Bloodline and other Star Wars stories that take place after Return of the Jedi that he's off doing his Jedi thing. He's not running around the galaxy having adventures with Han and Leia, as far as we know. There's one upcoming with Lando in a little bit, but it doesn't seem like he is very attached to his friends right now. Like, he might be trying to step back and be more Jedi as he thinks he should be. Mm-hmm. I think that he is kind of just making the same mistakes as the prequel era Jedi because he doesn't know any better. I don't blame him. It's just like, someone help him. Would one of you Force ghosts speak up?
Yeah. Well, he's also going back to what he was taught by Yoda. And Yoda was not a fan of him leaving to go help his friends. He really wanted him to stay on Dagobah and finish his training. So he's going back to what Yoda taught him, and he's kind of like, okay, this is the way that things should be done. This is the way that I'm going to do them. But I do think he gave Grogu that choice partially because of why he left his training. Like, he knows that Grogu has this attachment to Den, and Grogu is still young enough to make that decision to, like, which way do you want to go with your life? So he's still got a little leeway, but yeah, I think Luke is just reverting back to a more rigid code.
Yeah, and you reminded me of something Thomas Harper said on our live stream about that moment where Yoda's like, if you leave, if you go help your friends, like, you're going to fall to the dark side and it's forever going to dominate your destiny. And like, that's a lot to dump on a 22-year-old who's just trying to help his friends. Also, like, that didn't happen. He did... I mean, it didn't go well, and he did kind of dance with the dark side, like we see in Return of the Jedi. And we can also see that his attachment to Leia almost threw him over the edge because, I mean, he barely pulled himself back from killing his father that he was so attached to and so hell-bent on saving. So he does have some experience with attachment and how it can go wrong, but he has experience with how it can go right as well. And I think he's probably just focusing on the negative a little too much. But that's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion and get a guaranteed answer. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.